In the 90s, Boeing brought together a handful of airlines to help develop its newest model, one built entirely around what carriers actually needed. The aircraft we're talking about, you all know it, Boeing's most successful commercial jet ever, the 777. One of those airlines was Cathay Pacific, and it didn't ask for much. To give you an idea, it wanted a cabin as wide as the 747, capacity for more than 300 passengers, a cockpit with digital displays, fly-by-wire, and operating costs lower than any existing widebody. The request was executed brilliantly. To put it in perspective, Cathay Pacific operated the original prototype, BHNL, the very first 777 ever built. Flew that aircraft for 18 years, then bought every version Boeing rolled out. 52 777s fly for Cathay to this day. And in August 2025, it ordered 35 of the new 777X, $8 billion. Everything was pointing in one direction. But then, suddenly, a shift in firm orders changed course and put Airbus at the center of one of the biggest deals in the Asian market. And Boeing didn't like that one bit. In 2016, Cathay took delivery of its first Airbus A350-900. At the time, nobody treated it as a change of direction. The A350 had a clear role at the airline, covering routes where the 777 was too big, destinations that didn't justify 400 seats. It was a complement to the fleet. Except that complement started to grow. More variant 900s arrived. Then came the A350-1000. Bigger, longer range, capable of flying nonstop from Hong Kong to New York. And there was a technical detail that accelerated everything. 90% of the parts on the variant 900 are shared with the A350-1000. Pilots trained on one can fly the other. The maintenance infrastructure is essentially the same. The aircraft that started as a complement became the backbone of the ultra-long-haul network. The A350-1000 flies the flagship routes, Hong Kong to New York, Hong Kong to London. The variant 900 covers Europe, Australia, much of Asia. Between the two models, practically the entire long-haul network of Cathay now touches the A350 at some point in the day. And here's a detail that went unnoticed. As the fleet grew, Cathay didn't just need aircraft. It needed pilots trained on the type, certified mechanics, simulators, maintenance contracts with Rolls-Royce, stockpiles of Trent XWB parts. All of that infrastructure was being built year after year, quietly. But that expansion didn't happen just because Airbus had the better airplane. Before the 777, the flagship was the 747. Before the jumbo, other Boeings. Cathay Pacific's center of gravity, ever since its international expansion, had always been in Seattle, and everyone expected it would stay that way. Boeing is carrying a program that's now 6 years behind schedule. The 777X has suffered years of delays with certification, among other problems we've covered in several videos on this channel. But everything has a limit. Large airlines with a structure as robust and complex as Cathay Pacific's need more modern aircraft and pay the price for it. The investments in fleet modernization, mechanics, and the whole infrastructure needed to bring in a new model, even though it runs into the tens of millions of dollars, pays off in the medium and long term. Newer aircraft, even with an acceptable and manageable delay, are valuable assets. The dilution of cost per seat compared with the efficiency and updates in engines and components makes the aircraft attractive. But what's been happening with the 777X program has raised fresh doubts about the project's reliability and its ability to meet deadlines. And we're not talking about $500 million or even $1 billion. We're talking about $95 billion committed to an aircraft that still can't make money. So imagine an airline that needs to carry more passengers at a lower cost, invest billions, wait years, and still not have the plane. The 777-300ERs that should have been retired need to keep flying to cover that gap. That means more cycles, more maintenance, and additional investment that by now should have already stopped. The options start to become limited and scarce. An alternative is to increase utilization of the aircraft already in the fleet and extend the service life of the older jets. Or you can simply buy more aircraft from another manufacturer. And that last option is exactly what's happening. Most people know Cathay Pacific as a premium passenger airline, a competitor to the world's biggest players. What few people realize is that passenger transport is only a fraction of the revenue. The engine that sustains the whole operation is cargo. Hong Kong is the busiest cargo airport in the world. It's earned that title 15 times since 2010. In 2023, it handled 4.3 million tons, accounting for roughly 47% of the total value of Hong Kong's foreign trade. More than $500 billion in goods passed through there in a single year. Just to give you a sense of scale, Memphis Airport in the United States, home to FedEx's largest hub in the world, handled about 3.8 million tons of cargo in 2023. Air cargo accounts for less than 1% of goods moved globally by weight, but it represents 35% of total value. What travels by plane is what's worth the most. Cathay is the largest cargo operator at that hub, more than 1.7 million tons a year. The Cathay Cargo Hub covers 246,000 square meters. The airline was founded in 1946 as a cargo operator between Australia and China. Cargo has been in its DNA since day one. In the first half of 2026, cargo revenue rose nearly 24%, driven by demand for data center and AI components. Chips, servers, networking equipment, the infrastructure behind the AI boom travels by air, and a large share of it passes through Hong Kong. On any normal day at the Cathay Cargo Hub, the shelves hold everything from crates of French wine and Filipino mangoes to artwork packed in armored crates and high-precision electronic components, all of it waiting for a freighter's belly. And that entire operation depends on a dedicated fleet. 14 Boeing 747-8Fs, 6 Boeing 747-400 ERFs, 20 freighters, all Boeing, all jumbos. Aircraft that are aging and that need replacing. And once again, Boeing didn't like the outcome. The next successor, following Cathay's logic, would be the Boeing 777-8F. But in December 2023, Cathay announced a different choice: 6 Airbus A350Fs with rights to acquire 20 more. In May 2026, it exercised 2 more of those rights. Firm total, 8 freighters. If all rights are exercised, 28 Airbus freighters. An airline that had never operated a single non-Boeing freighter decided to replace its entire 777F fleet with Airbus. And when you dig into the reasons, they're not abstract. The A350F is due to enter service in the second half of 2027. The 777-8F can only be certified after the 777-9 completes its own certification process, meaning later in the decade. When Cathay made the decision, the gap in availability was measured in years, not months. The A350F's engine is the Rolls-Royce Trent XW97, the same engine already flying on the 48 passenger A350s Cathay operates today. The 777-8F's engine is the GE9X, new with no track record in cargo operations. And there's a regulatory pressure that makes the situation even more concrete. Starting in 2028, new ICAO emission standards take effect. The current 777F doesn't meet them. Boeing will end production of the model, and the 777-8F, I'm sure you already know the answer. For a period, Boeing simply won't have a single new freighter available for sale. The A350F is the only next-generation freighter that meets the 2027 standards, and the market is reflecting that. 107 firm orders from 14 customers versus roughly 76 for the 777-8F. And for Cathay specifically, there's an added factor that makes the A350F almost inevitable: commonality. 48 passenger A350s already fly in the fleet. Pilots, mechanics, parts, simulators, contracts, it's all already there. Adding the A350F is incremental. Adding the 777-8F would mean building an entirely new freighter infrastructure from scratch. When you look at Cathay's full order book, the scale of the transformation becomes clear all at once. Today, Cathay operates 48 A350s, 30 of the 900, 18 of the 1000, one of the largest fleets of the type in the world. But it's in the orders that the shift shows up most strongly. On the Airbus side, 14 A321neos, 30 A330neos, 26 A350-1000s, and 8 A350Fs, 78 aircraft. On the Boeing side, 35 777-9s, mostly Airbus. The A350 family alone, counting what's already flying and what's on order across every variant, will surpass 80 aircraft, the largest single family in the fleet, more than double the number of 777-9s on order. There's a simple way to picture what happened. 20 years ago, if you'd ask someone which manufacturer defines Cathay Pacific, the answer would have been immediate: Boeing. 747s in the sky, 777s on every long-haul route, 747Fs in every freighter. Today, that answer has changed. And it wasn't the result of one single decision. It was a decade of decisions, each one making the next more logical. And each A350 order made the 777X delay less relevant, because the Airbus infrastructure was already there, growing. What started in 2016 as a modest compliment ended up as more than 80 aircraft from a family that covers passengers across every distance and cargo. The 777X didn't lose because it's a bad aircraft. When it arrives, it will be the largest and most efficient twin jet in the world. Cathay knows that. It ordered 35. But in commercial aviation, the best aircraft in the world is worth nothing if it doesn't exist when the customer needs it. Cathay Pacific didn't switch sides. It needed aircraft, and only one manufacturer had what it could offer.